sister's a therapist and I tell jokes. We both want to help all kinds of folks.
Hello, I'm Virginia Jones, and I record a podcast called My Sister's a Therapist, in which I, a comedian, talk to my sister, who is a therapist. And this is the podcast you're listening to right now. This is very meta. Here's my sister. Her name's Laura Ryan.
Hi, I'm Laura Ryan. I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist and co-host of this podcast. To my sister, Virginia Jones, the hipster humorist.
That's the first one in a while that hasn't been actively insulting.
I was going to say the aging hipster humorist.
Oh, see, it was right there. I tell everybody who will listen, my sister is a very caring, kind person to her clients. To me, she is a giant a-hole.
I've had years and years of practice. Why give up now?
Laura, on this podcast, we take turns. One of us researches a topic that we're interested in exploring. The other one of us does nothing and just shows up wearing a denim jacket and eating a protein bar. This week, that's me.
How does it feel to have the unbearable burden of the dunce cap this week?
It feels pretty good to have limited responsibility.
Somebody's ready to coast.
Laura, what are we talking about this week?
This week, we're asking the immortal question, are boyfriends cringe?
Oh, yay. Okay. So this was an article in Vogue, right?
Yes.
I haven't read it. I've only read things about it. But my take on it is it's embarrassing to post your boyfriend because boyfriends are almost always inferior to their partners. Every woman who's dating a man is dating down.
Reference Lily Allen,
who has put out a whole record about her husband, who I used to have a crush on. I was a David Harbour fan from the jump, but he married the most beautiful, the most talented, the funniest, most amazing woman and just never stopped cheating on her. God bless that she made a whole album about it. Go on, Lily.
You go, girl.
First record in 15 years, so he's really inspired her.
I'm going to start off by reading a transcript from a TikTok. You have seen this TikTok, or maybe you haven't, but I did send it to you. This is from a creator named Dresden, and he says, when you're a gay man and you're friends with straight women, your heart is broken continually over and over again because smart, funny, interesting women will pick a guy. They'll just pick a guy. And if you're lucky, he doesn't vote to make you both second-class citizens. And if you're really lucky, he's like, fine. He's nice. Maybe he even reads. And then they become his maid, his nanny, his secretary, and all their time is taken up with some guy. And you're just supposed to be like, yeah, he's great. He doesn't know how to talk to me and he doesn't want to spend time with us and he doesn't really see you as a person. And you were so much more interesting before because now he's scared of airports and he's a picky eater. And so we have to accommodate your golden retriever boyfriend. You could have been so incredible, not with another man, not done better. You just already were better. And if your boyfriend was a woman, you probably wouldn't even be friends with him.
I did watch that TikTok and I had a lot of thoughts about it. When we say she just chooses a man, I think what we're really saying is that she waits around for a man to choose her and then whoever it is fine. Because that's what all of the competitive dieting and glamour is about, is being chosen by a man who is going to make you feel like a real person.
There's another trend going around where people are saying the princess treatment that we say that men are giving women is really just baseline what any girlfriend would do.
These women are gushing. Oh my God, he made plans for us to have dinner before we were doing it.
I told him I was hungry and he ordered pizza.
Wow.
And he didn't even ask me to pay for it.
It's the baseline normal what a friend would do for another friend.
Right.
But because the bar has been in hell, it feels like an achievement. It feels like something good.
If you think that centering men and making your life about having a boyfriend, yeah, you're going to do what you can with what's available. And I think that's the other piece. There's just not a lot of really amazing men available to date, in my opinion.
Like many things, my opinion about this is colored by my experience in performance. I almost feel bad for male comics because they're not as good as the women because they've never had to be. Male comics get along by being friends with other male comics and performing a long, complicated game of human centipede and giving each other favors. So they've never had to be just incredible. And women comics have to become incredible. If you've been doing it for over 10 years, you are better than all of your male peers because you have had to work harder every day. And I'm sorry if this sounds like I'm fluffing myself up, but it's just true. Women comics are always more interesting, more thoughtful, more researched because we've had to be. And I think that the same thing applies to the rest of the human race. Men don't have to be anything to be good men. They focus on going to the gym and making money. And those are their only jobs. Most of them don't even go to the gym. The pickings is slim.
Right.
You had an experience a little while ago where a girlfriend of yours had a relationship that ended. And for a second, she was more available and she's already thinking about the possibility of dating. And you know, there isn't this infinite riches of great men out there. But so long as having a man and being partnered is the most important thing for her, this is going to continue to happen. It's not man specific. She's thinking this relationship didn't work out because this man wasn't the man for me. But no man is going to be as amazing, as smart, as talented as she is.
Right.
Because he didn't have to be.
If you never work the muscle, you're never going to get the abs. Because spoiler alert to anybody who's my friend, I probably don't like your partner. I probably just don't. I can tell you in the course of my entire life, there are two men who I really genuinely like who have partnered with somebody that I know. And you guys are just going to have to guess who those two men are.
If you're Laura's friend, assume it's your partner.
But that's it. This man, Eddie Dresden, really spoke to my soul because this is exactly how I feel. I feel like anytime my friend partners with a man, she just loses a part of herself that's really important every time. She's working to accommodate someone else and she's trying to be what they need, but what they need is not who she really is. And that's what I hate.
And I sent you a TikTok. This is a real battle of the TikToks. It's just video of a woman crying and saying it's wild having female friendships because you'll see her give the same guy 100 times, but then one conflict happens between the two of you and your friendship is over. And I've experienced that so many times.
Yes.
He's cheated on you. He's stolen money from you. He's crashed your car. But I suggest at some point that you might benefit from therapy and then I'm just cut off. Everything we complain about is stemming from the same core problem, which is patriarchal training. We are trained that women friendships are not as valid as our relationships with men. We are trained every day that men are better than we are, and we need to be perfecting ourselves to get attention from them. I actually had an interaction that I'm very proud of, and I'm going to toot my own horn a little bit. I did a show that I was hired to do. The person sent me a review and paid me. I thanked him. Very demure, very professional. And he wrote me back and asked me out, essentially said, hey, we should grab drinks. I don't know what grabbing drinks means. My first thought was I should write him a carefully worded email and say, thank you so much. I just want to make sure you know that we're getting drinks as friends.
No, because men don't ask women to do things if they don't find them attractive. That's just the facts.
But then I thought, I don't really want to be a friend with this guy. Okay, well, I need to write him a carefully worded email where I let him down easy and say, I'm already partnered. Thanks for your interest. Because I don't want to be mad at me. I want to be nice. And then I realized, I don't have to do any of that. It's not my job to do any of that. We had a professional relationship. It was brief. It's now over. I just didn't write him back at all. And I was so proud about it. I didn't just tell you, I told my therapist.
And you said, my sister's a therapist, but I'm going to spend money on you.
This is from the article, Is Having a Boyfriend Embarrassing Now? By CHANTÉ Joseph. If someone so much as says my boyfriend on social media, they're muted. There's nothing I hate more than following someone for fun, only for their content to become my boyfriend suddenly. This is probably because for so long, it felt like we were living in one of my favorite Substackers calls Boyfriend Land. A world where women's online identities centered around the lives of their partners, a situation rarely seen reversed. Women were rewarded for their ability to find and keep a man with elevated social status and praise. It became even more suffocating when this could be leveraged as social media for engagement, and if you were serious enough, financial gain. This has been a very sad aspect of TikTok, is the my boyfriending performative relationships. They're all very cute and everything, but the videos of beautifully dressed women dragging boyfriends from location to location, it feeds into a fantasy that we're going to find someone who matches our freak and that we can have fun with, but it is also a bummer.
It's so obviously contrived. They're participating, but they're not a part of it. They're just, like you said, being dragged along. And it's obvious. It's not like he's sharing your joy. I remember this woman getting a proposal and it was so crummy. And she posted it on the internet. Girl, that's not inspiring anyone.
Girl, keep that to yourself.
It was so half-hearted. He did all the things that you're supposed to do, but he wasn't naturally, spontaneously excited about the situation. It was clear that he was being socially pressured into doing it in this way. It just makes me want to throw up.
Let me tell you, you might find a guy that you can gently, overtly, covertly manipulate into proposing marriage. When you do that, what you get is a man who didn't really want to be married to you. And that's the worst person to be married to.
Speaking from experience, you get to marry somebody who didn't really want to do it. If I want this relationship to end, I actually have to go to court and do legal stuff to make it happen. From the same article from Vogue, to me, it feels like the result of women wanting to straddle two worlds. One where they can receive the social benefits of having a partner, but also not appear so boyfriend obsessed that they come across as quite culturally loserish. They want the prize and celebration of partnership, but understand the norminess of it, says Zoe Samudzi, writer and activist. In other words, in an era of widespread heterofatalism, women don't want to be seen as being all about their man, but they also want the clout that comes with being partnered.
I like the phrase heterofatalism. I have become fairly aware of how I speak about my relationships on social media because I don't consider it content. I don't want details of my relationship to be poured over by the general public. In my last relationship, I really didn't post about him at all because I just felt it was nobody's business. That's tricky because that presents me as a single person on social media. And he considered that a betrayal.
I also felt that way. You have to acknowledge that the person exists. But also, when I was married, I was all about posting on Facebook pictures of my husband, all the fun things we were doing. But then when the relationship ended, I had to go back and delete everything. I just never want to do that again.
I am loath to post relationship statuses for that exact same reason. At some point, it may end, and then I have to go back and take that down. And this is not as true as it used to be when everybody was so Facebook intensive. Then everybody sees the status change. They have opinions about it. And I do like to keep my private life pretty private. This quote says, I was in a relationship for 12 years and never once posted him or talked about him online. We broke up recently and I don't think I will ever post a man, said Nikki, 38. Even though I am a romantic, I still feel like men will embarrass you even 12 years in. So claiming them feels so lame. On the Delusional Diaries podcast, fronted by two New York-based influencers, Hallie and Jad, they discuss whether having a boyfriend is lame now. Why does having a boyfriend feel Republican, reads a top comment. Boyfriends are out of style. They won't come back in until they start acting right. Having a boyfriend feels Republican because the nuclear family, the gendered roles of men and women, the pressure to start and maintain a family is Republican.
Being obsessed with partnership and marriage and all that crap feels very old-timey, aka Republican.
When we're talking about partners that we like, it is remarkable. When I meet a woman and I meet her boyfriend or her husband and I really like them, I really put a lot of energy in that relationship because that's so unusual.
Yes.
It's usually a sour-faced pud who is just put in the booth at dinner with us and I have to tolerate. I really like our brother-in-law.
I was going to say that too. I wanted other people to think that their partner was maybe the other one I was talking about.
Your partner very well could be the other partner she was talking about.
Yes,
but
it could be literally any of you.
Our brother-in-law is talented and passionate and interesting. And I think he's a really good match with our sister. I'm going to make myself cry a little bit.
I knew him when they were friends, and I always thought he was a delight. He's very warm and he's kind. He's a good conversationalist, and he seems genuinely interested in the things that I'm saying and doing. And I just think about all of the boyfriend interviews that I've done where they're shoving some man into the booth with the polo on, and I'm supposed to decide in 5 minutes whether he's a perpetrator or not. I've been friends with you for 20 years. And we have all of our inside jokes. We have our whole history. We have all of our experiences. Last night, I was trick-or-treating with my best friend, and there was a jellyfish costume. And she said, remember when you got stung by a jellyfish in the Bahamas and I peed on you?
You can't fake those kinds of memories.
You can't manufacture that. And hey, bro, you weren't in on this at all. Even if you're a nice enough guy, you're not a part of this. So I don't think you should be involved.
The hard part is watching this stranger who all he really has up on you is that he's seen your friend naked in the last 24 hours and watching his status be elevated beyond you because he's a dude.
It's very frustrating. I have put in all the work here and some dumb dong having person jumps in and gets first place. F that.
A lot of the conversations that I had with men who are partnered with my friends. The kind of general vibe of men is that they have their plans, they have their life, they're going to do what they want to do. All women are just an imposition on that.
A nuisance.
They wish they could just be quiet and let them play their video game for 18 hours, pee in a jelly jar or whatever their interest is. When you meet a man who does engage with you and is fun to talk to and is giving and taking from the conversation, it is unusual and it is a pleasure. It is depressing to me how frequently that comes with the realization that they are in an open relationship. There's something really heartbreaking about realizing that a man has been treating you like a person because he thinks he could sleep with you. When someone's married, that feels like a safe person to be friends with or to engage with. It's happened to me several times. I'm like, oh, you were only being nice to me because you are available to have sex with other people.
That's what I've noticed. Most men don't speak to me because they don't find me attractive. And that's the facts. When a man is actually talking to me, engaging with me, I'm always like, what do you want? What do you want?
What's happening?
What's the deal?
You do wear a werewolf mask a lot, and I have wondered about it.
It keeps the rats off. When author and British Vogue contributor Stephanie Yeboah hard launched her boyfriend on social media, she lost hundreds of followers. Even if we were still together, I wouldn't post them there. There is something cringy and embarrassing about constantly posting your partner these days, she tells me.
I completely agree that it is cringy to constantly post your partner, but it's also sad to me because most of those people who are unfollowing her are not women saying, I'm a strong feminist and I don't want to be involved in this man's world. A lot of it is men who just had her in the back of their mind as someone that they could think about sexually. In my last relationship, those posts never got any likes. And that makes me feel creepy too. Can I not be funny without being someone you want to think of in that way? I don't know. What is it about?
No, you're
humans?
actually not funny if I don't want to have intercourse with you. Sorry.
Dang it. That's frustrating as well.
I silence people when they start posting a bunch of stuff about their boyfriend. I don't care about your boyfriend. I just want that to be a t-shirt. I don't care about your boyfriend. I don't like your boyfriend. I don't want to know your boyfriend. I just want to know that he's treating you okay and you guys are good because I don't have to meet every friend you've ever had.
Right.
Why do I have to meet him?
And here I'm thinking me and boyfriend are dressed in a cute costume together or having a fun experience. It's not just here's a man and he said
We
that
went
he's
to
gonna
lunch
hang out.
together and he
Right.
put ranch on his French fries and he's adorable.
To have people unfriend you because they're just aware that you are partnered is aggravating. What were you on the ride for anyway?
I was fantasizing about you, just like I was fantasizing about Morrissey being my boyfriend until he told me 20 years later that he didn't like women.
Thanks a lot, Morrissey. Thanks for dropping that bomb. A little late, friend. It was actually quite late. Sophie Milner, a content creator, also experienced people unfollowing her when she shared a romantic relationship. Being single gives you this ultimate freedom to say and to do what you want. It is absolutely not every woman, but I do notice that we can become more beige and watered down online when in a relationship, myself included. I don't understand that at all because let me tell you, I am president of the She Woman Man Hitting Club. I'm loud and I'm proud.
Did you say man hitting club?
Not yet.
We hit men.
I don't think that being in a relationship changes my online presence at all. I'm not posting bikini pics, but frankly, I wasn't before.
I disagree. I've had friends who were single and then they partnered. We went from having cool poetry that you wrote, fun experiences that you're doing solo to, oh, Jerry wanted to try this barbecue place. It does get really boring.
Heterosexuality has long been purposefully indefinable, so it is harder for those within it and outside of it to critique. However, as our traditional roles begin to crumble, maybe we're being forced to reevaluate our blind allegiance to heterosexuality. Heterosexuality is extremely definable. Everyone wearing a shirt that looks like an American flag can tell you what it is. I think it's pretty cut and dry. What do you think?
To me, heterosexuality is like white supremacy. It's in the air. It's everywhere. It's all the time. Yes, of course, I know what heterosexuality looks like, but it's also because I've been exposed to it since birth. I've been watching rom-coms. I've been watching princess stories or reading books about women getting saved by men. It's in the air. It's in the very essence of everything we do and breathe and live.
Why is it okay to subject children to heterosexual relationships as soon as they're born? That's going to give them weird ideas about how they need to be partnered with this person of the opposite sex.
Really?
It's going to give them a strange, perverted idea that this kind of relationship is better than other kinds.
Also, it's going to give specifically girls the idea that they don't have any worth and value if they're not in a committed relationship with a man.
Well, that's true, though.
So as long as we're openly rethinking and criticizing heteronormativity, having a boyfriend will remain a somewhat fragile or even contentious concept within public life. This is also happening alongside a wave of women reclaiming and re-romanticizing their single life. Where being single was once a cautionary tale, you'll end up a spinster with loads of cats, it is now becoming a desirable and coveted status, another nail in the coffin of a centuries-old heterosexual fairy tale that never really benefited women to begin with.
That's the part that makes me craziest. Marriage does not benefit women, and yet we are obsessed with it.
Refer back to, is marriage good for women?
Statistically, no. Personally, no. I'm not saying there are no good marriages, but they don't benefit us. We have been brainwashed into believing that they should be the core of your experience.
Why do you think anyone would try to convince women that marriage was the only path and that this was the most important thing for us to do with our whole entire lives?
Right. It might benefit someone else. Speaking of media, every sitcom ends with a wedding. A lot of movies end with a wedding. The woman is getting what she wants. She's getting married. Lights out. Boom, she's married. Hooray for her.
I've been watching, at this point, 15 seasons of a little sleepy television show. It's called Death in Paradise, and it's a British show, and I plowed through 15 seasons. But the premise is that a British police officer goes to an island in the Caribbean and becomes the head detective inspector at said island. Because it's 15 seasons long, these actors don't want to fly to the Caribbean for months and months at a time, and they eventually quit and they have to get a new person. One of the actors was murdered in one of the episodes. All the other actors have paired off with a woman and gone off in the sunset, and it's ridiculous.
But also, I am really enjoying the trend now. Two people on a film or a television show can just work together and be opposite genders and not date. And it's so new. A couple years ago, there was a Hawkeye Christmas special. The Marvel guy whose only power is he's really good at shooting arrows. In that series, there's a young college-age woman in trouble. He comes to her rescue, or they partner together. And there's no sexual tension. There's no idea that they would date. He has teenage kids of his own, and it's so refreshing. They're just people working together towards a common goal, and they don't fall in love. The center of the thing is family and friendship.
But I think also you have to remember that the stuff that we are spoon-fed as children and as young women is propaganda. And the goal is to get us into this family unit because we need it for capitalism. It's just like how Marvel movies are funded by the United States military. They are trying to get kids interested in this kind of lifestyle and feeling like they're heroes.
The way you get free labor out of women is by dangling this diamond ring in front of them and trapping them in a relationship. Suddenly there's all these unspoken tasks that no one ever said you were supposed to do or had to do, but someone's got to do them.
That's not true that no one ever said that.
I think that that's true. A husband doesn't say to his wife, hey, from now on, you're going to be responsible for making all the plans with my family.
He doesn't say it, but everyone up to that point has said it before him. You already knew because your mom told you girls are in charge of cleaning the kitchen and doing all the dishes. Your brother can help out with the yard once a month.
I think a lot of this is modeling more than overt statements. This brings me to two things that I've had arguments about in the last couple of weeks. A woman I don't know on LinkedIn posted, men, how do you just sit on the couch and watch television? How is it that you're not running around folding laundry? How are you able to do this? How can you even just sit still? And then men are responding in the tone of the joke and saying, I guess it's just something I'm born with. Oh, it takes a lot of talent to sit down and chill out. It's because nothing is expected of them. It's because they may contribute something to child rearing and housekeeping. If they did nothing, the whole operation would not stop dead in its tracks.
Well, that's what you hear from so many single moms. They say, this is actually an easier life than when my husband's around because I don't have to also clean up after him and I don't have this dead weight dragging me down in all of my daily tasks.
A man on LinkedIn said, Virginia, are you being passive aggressive? And I said, no, I'm being aggressive. This is a disingenuous question because she knows the answer to the question. She can't sit down and she can't relax because she has to do everything.
Because that is the societal expectation.
Decentering dating, why love isn't the only plot line. On Lee. Modern culture often treats romantic love as the central storyline of a meaningful life. Movies end with a kiss, not with someone publishing their first book or running their first marathon. In a movie, if a woman published her first book or ran her first marathon, it would be because she was trying to get her groove back after a bad relationship, and it would end when she got in a new relationship. Even casual conversations are saturated with questions like, are you seeing anyone? As if our personal worth is measured in coupledom.
I find that exhausting.
It's just training, and that means we can escape it. It's just what we've been taught.
Don't read any books. Don't watch any movies. Don't watch any television, and you're good.
You don't have to disengage from all art, but question it. Is it reasonable that it should be assumed that she is going to leave her thriving legal practice and move to Vermont and have children with this man because he makes maple syrup and that's his job?
That's the end of every Hallmark movie, so yes. Western culture has long elevated romantic love as the pinnacle of fulfillment. From fairy tales to Hollywood, we're trained to believe that happy endings require a partner. Social expectations reinforce this. Weddings are celebrated as life milestones, while moving cities, changing careers, or deepening friendships rarely get the same spotlight. This creates pressure. If you're single, it can feel like you're behind. If you're dating, the question becomes, when will you settle down?
That false idea of this thing leads to that thing leads to that thing. We've been dating, but we're not exclusive. Okay, well, we're exclusive, but we're not living together. Okay, we're living together, but we're not married. Okay, we're married, but we don't have kids. You don't have to do any of that. You can opt in or out of anything. And you can start dating, then have a kid, then become exclusive, then buy a house, then open your marriage, then sell your house, and then get a divorce. And then you're back at square one, which is not a terrible square to be.
No.
Big questions. Why do we prioritize romantic over platonic love? From the website, embracesexualwellness.com. American society is obsessed with romantic love, from romantic comedies dominating box offices to holidays like Valentine's Day to societal expectations of marriage as the ultimate goal. There is no shortage of conditioning to make people believe romantic love is more valuable and superior to platonic love. And this is what the comic strip Kathy was talking about all the time. Kathy felt that she was regarded as inferior as a single woman. She wasn't able to go out to dinner by herself. She wasn't able to go to movies by herself without feeling a constant judgment. And then she was chasing this incredibly emotionally unavailable man who made her eat chocolate and say ack all the time.
I don't think he made her say ack.
This is every woman's struggle. I agree we need to question that prioritization. I don't think being in a relationship or not being in a relationship makes you a better or worse feminist. I don't think that we have to cut ourselves off from any human experience. I agree that a partnership is a partnership. It's not your life and it's not your purpose. And you should be pretty much the person you were before, except you come home to someone nice who supports your goals in your life.
And I was having this conversation with a friend recently. I feel like something that I've always done is no matter who I'm dating, I'm still prioritizing my friendships. I'm still available. She said, well, that's not quite true because remember, you did all this stuff with such and such. I was like, yeah, because you wouldn't do it because you were home with your husband. I have to do something. I'm not going to just stay at home and give up on life. If I can find a person who's willing, whether that be my boyfriend or my friend, I'm going to do it. And I was thinking about it. And I had a client say, oh, so you don't think you're ever going to date men again? What about women?
I would have chose it. Hey,
Yeah.
Republicans, it's not a choice.
No, it's not. She was just saying, why not a man? What's the matter? Are you sure you've given it a shot?
You turn over every rock out there.
I've been married. I had relationships longer than 10 years. I've had multiple men in my life. I've been on 1,000 dates. How much more do I need to offer up to make sure that it's good enough?
How much grist do I got to put in this mill to come out with hamburger?
Exactly. The philosopher Elizabeth Brake coined the term amatonormativity, which, as defined in her book, Minimizing Marriage, Marriage Morality, and the Law, refers to the assumptions that a central, exclusive, amorous relationship is normal for humans in that it is a universally shared goal, and that such a relationship is normative in that it should be aimed at in preference to other relationship types. The narrative that one is not complete without a lifelong, monogamous, ideally in the eyes of society, heterosexual romantic partnership is enforced around every corner. I think about every relationship I've ever had with a man, and I was never happier than I was when I was single. There were moments of beauty and fun that I have not experienced in my heterosexual friendships, but it doesn't compare to all of the pain, all of the struggle, all of the difficulty of trying to maintain a relationship with a man. It's just too much work for me. He would have to be a truly exceptional man, probably part alien. Kal-El, I'm available. It's Kal-El or bust.
We all need a Superman. You've had this experience several times of talking to people about just not pursuing dating, and they act like you're the alien. They've never considered a life without centering that. When I was first out of my marriage and experiencing online dating for the first time, the sad, hilarious part is that when I was married, OkCupid especially was really experiencing a boom. And I was jealous. I was jealous of single people. How exciting to meet a bunch of new people and really get to know people who are not in your social circle. How fun. I went into it very naively as someone who was raised Mormon and was just leaving a heterosexual marriage, assuming that pretty much all the guys were also looking to be partnered, if that was the goal. And that is not the goal. The core conflict that makes dating apps not work is that most women, not all, who are looking for a male partner are looking for a monogamous long-term relationship male partner. And most men are open to something short.
Most men are looking at it as, I'm on this website so that I can maximize the number of women I can sleep with this year. And most women are thinking, I'm on this website so that I can meet as many horrible men and blow through them and find that one decent human. It's a numbers game because I need to go on 100,000 dates to find a decent one.
Find that one diamond in the rough, just knock the mud off of him, spit shine his shoes and say, here we are at a Bennigan's. This is my guy. The Nuclear Family Was a Mistake by David Brooks. We think of kin as being those biologically related to us, but throughout most of human history, kinship was something you could create. Now is a chance to thicken and broaden family relationships, a chance to allow more adults and children to live and grow under the loving gaze of a dozen pairs of eyes and be caught when they fall by a dozen pairs of arms. This is a very creepy way of saying it takes a village. This is a part of the human experience that especially Americans have moved away from. Families are very much the immediate and the extended family. Your extended family is part of your daily life. Your grandma might live with you. Your aunts and uncles are in easy reach. As we embrace capitalism and say, I'm going to move cities for job opportunities. I'm going to move cities for educational opportunities. You're getting more and more disconnected from your tribe. Our mental health is suffering, not just relationships. It's put an immense amount of pressure on our romantic relationships because they're supposed to be everything to us. And as we've said before, it can't be everything to us.
Hard agree. The thing that David Brooks is saying to me is that it doesn't have to be a related person. When we were living in small clusters and villages, it wasn't people that you were blood related to who were helping you out in your life. It was your neighbors. It was the guy at the grocery store. It was all the people that you see all the time. When I think about my village, there's two women who I rely very heavily on who are not related to me by blood or marriage. I had a surprise need for childcare this week. And so I had to spring that on a friend. And she gratefully was able to help me out. I think without these non-related people, I would really struggle. The only person who I'm related to in this town, well, there's two. One of them lives in my house. The other one lives 30 minutes away and doesn't have a car. I have to rely on people who I'm not related to in order for my life to work. Federal and state policy for the last 50 years has focused on strengthening the nuclear family and not the extended family. Furthermore, many mothers who decide to raise their young children without extended family nearby find that they have chosen a lifestyle that is brutally hard and isolating. Correct.
You've experienced that.
I experience that every day.
And it's not an accident that we are directed towards the nuclear family and favoring that above our chosen family, friendship relationships, and others. So I've got Why Is Everyone Obsessed with Marriage Right Now by Lotte Jeffs. From early childhood, society and culture conspires to present marriage as the happy ending. Facing the world as a couple, preferably one bound in wedlock, is the best way to survive the perils of modern life. And despite a rise in conscious individualism and the centering of the self that we have experienced in recent decades, it remains an axiom of our time. Being married makes childcare, buying or renting property, shopping for food, accessing healthcare, and so many other expenses more manageable. Meanwhile, as a couple, you are seen as more valuable, successful, and worthy of your place in the world. Or is it more that a woman married to a man, you suddenly matter a little more? I experienced a good amount of pressure in my last relationship to get married just because he felt that it would make him look more adult, more impressive. He felt that he would do better in the workplace. And I really had to stick to the old guns. He was very aware of the societal pressures on him to be married, to get married, and of the benefits that it would bring to him.
And if you want to know more about that, refer back to our episode. Is marriage good for women? It's not good for women. It's extremely good for men. I think that being a married man really does read different than being a married woman. People see you as more responsible because they also know that you have free labor at home who's going to handle most of your domestic stuff. So you're going to be much better in the workplace.
Being a married man means that you're responsible, you're mature, you are selfless in a way, because you're giving some of your time and energy to your children. Being a married woman is just the norm. It's just what you have to be, just to live.
Marriage affords you with more rights, more benefits, and probably more disposable income than being single. But the price of getting married in the first place is huge. The average wedding now costs almost £30,000. Is it any wonder that marriage rates are in a steady decline? What I know is that the constant barrage of messaging underlying marriage as sacrosanct is no longer aligned with the reality of life.
And the decision to throw a giant party with a dress and a cake is another topic of intense societal pressure. That's a choice. You can be married. You can declare your love and partnership to another person for
pennies on the dollar.
The other stuff is just a show. It's not got to do with your relationship. And you can be in love with someone without having $1,000 dress. It's true.
I think that the reason for that is that it's this idea that this is the prize. This is the thing I've been waiting my whole life to achieve. Who cares that I have a PhD? Who cares that I bought my own home?
Right. I've been training like a racehorse for this moment where I get the ring on my finger. And as women become more accomplished, more successful, that becomes more and more absurd.
Because what? Oh, you're a brain surgeon, but you also married some guy?
It filled me with hope that as marriage rates continue to drop and governments continue to panic and unfairly blame a lack of fiscal and societal stability on this threat to our, quote, foundations, my daughter's generation will be the ones to finally rid my algorithm of the hapless Instagram husband and his exasperated wife and redefine the reasons you may or may not say I do. I think having it not be a foregone fact makes marriage more special. Having it be a thing that you can enter into and there's no reason you have to. I've long thought that this was a big problem with marriage. The people want to get married. They don't necessarily want to marry the person. Get married if you think I don't want to live my life without being legally and financially bound to this person in front of me who is the most special person that I've ever met, an incredible positive force of my life. Do that. Many people want to get married and then they'll pick whoever's willing to do it.
I remember my proposal went something like, well, I didn't get into graduate school at UT, so I think we have to get married. And I said, no, we're going to have to rewind on that one. I need you to come up with something better than I didn't get into UT.
When that was presented to me as that was the reason you were getting married because that was his last option to live in the country, I was not impressed. Yeah, that was not awesome.
It's a little bit of a red flag right there. I'm going to read from the article by Garnett, The Trouble with Wanting Men. We now have a fancy word, heteropessimism, to describe the outlook of straight women fed up with mating behavior of men. Coined by the sexuality scholar Asa Suresen, who later amended it to heterofatalism, the term seems at first glance to distill a mood. One thing heterofatalism reflects is a persistent lack of faith that those we desire will be able to recognize us as commensurately human. Heterofatalism is partly just burnout.
You've had the same negative experience again and again. How long are you supposed to bounce back from that and say, well, the next one is going to be the right one? The reason that it feels like we're swimming upstream is that we are still all laboring under patriarchy. When you say, hey, I want to be treated like a person, I want to be your equal, I want you to think of my hopes and wishes and desires and goals as being just as important as yours. They don't understand what we're saying. They're still the apex predator. We have this uncomfortable situation where we're trying to change society one dude at a time. And I guess that's how it has to go, because the other way, I don't even know how it would work. A brain ray of some sort.
Maybe mass incarceration of all men.
Make it illegal to be a man. It should be illegal.
Unless you meet certain criteria. If you can't do it, then you're going to jail, bud.
Sorry, guys. You're going away for a long time. Imagine the men who didn't get incarcerated, how appreciative they would be. If they saw all the incels go into a prison system, they would be real Johnny on the spot with my morning coffee is what I think.
They sure would. Keep them on their toes.
Jessica Benjamin imagines how we might collaborate over time, and the time is crucial to create an intersubjective third, a space in which your needs and mine, your desires and mine, recognize and accept each other without competing for dominance. The old way of mating is dead, said my friend at our female complaints over dinner, and the new one has yet to be born. Anytime a couple is on a job hunt and one partner gets a job in another town, it's assumed that the woman is the one who's going to pick up roots and move out of town. The man's goals, wishes, and dreams are paramount. And that's what's beiging out your friendships. That's what's making dinner awkward. His concerns are more important than her concerns. If we really do consider as individuals and as couples why that is, we can approach this equality without mass incarceration, which is, I think, what you guys are really looking for. So you really need to pay attention.
I feel like there's really one solution. So
I'm still willing to give it a shot. Laura's the one who wants to put you in prison.
So Virginia, what are your final thoughts on this topic?
I think it's very valuable to not silently mute your friend or acquaintance's Instagram feed because they have started talking about their partner, but to really question your friends, acquaintances, coworkers, people you meet on the street. Why is having a partner the center of your life? Why should it be? Why should that be your job? Why were you put on earth? Did the God that doesn't really exist say, this is your job, Jessica, to partner with Dan and to have Dan's kids and put up with all of his crap? Go to Star Trek conventions with him. That doesn't have anything to do with my life. Why is that your job? And the answer is that it isn't. I think this is just part of the mass deprogramming of women. We need to understand that we are the light and the creative force and the center and the heat sink of the universe. If guys can't accept that and respect it, they can't be in our life. What are your final thoughts?
Same. I saw a creator recently saying the reason that we think as white people that this is the worst president we've ever had is because we've never been Black. That's my message for men. The only reason why things feel really hard and different is because you've never been challenged before. You've never experienced depression before.
You've never experienced someone questioning the validity of your beliefs, motivations, thoughts,
and role in their life.
Yeah. Welcome to it, brother. Sorry it hurt your feelings.
I've only been talked crap about in every single male comics set since 1965. Take my wife, please.
Our friend Jackie Cation, one of our very special guests, based her whole marriage around the jokes of male comedians that she was growing up with. She was on the road with these guys and they were complaining about not having enough sex, not getting enough attention. And she was like, okay, I just want to make sure I'm doing everything right. She tried to retrofit her existence into being the ideal woman that would combat these jokes at her expense. I think we're tired of that for the most part. This is not to say that we can't seek relationships, enjoy relationships. All we're trying to do is say, this isn't your whole purpose. You have other stuff to do. You have other fun things to have, experiences to have, creativity to express. It's not all about keeping this dude happy. Laura, do you have any additional final thoughts on this episode?
My advice to women is look around, see who's in your life that really is loving and supporting you, and put your energy and attention on those people. Just because this dude shares a mortgage with you does not mean he's going to be around forever or he's going to help you. He's going to make your life better. Spending a lot of time with my mother, if you walk around the retirement community, there's not a lot of men, but there are a lot of women. And I feel like women are going to be the ones who are there for you forever. Let's give our friendships the respect that they deserve. Let's stop making our friendships, even when we're talking about our family, let's not make our nuclear family the end all be all of our life. Let's not take the relationships we've built with our sisters and brothers our entire life and throw them in the trash as soon as you meet a person to marry. Let's try to consider that all of these people are vital and important in our lives. They're here to help us, and let's ask for support and give support. And let's not just write everybody off because I got a boyfriend. And also mass incarceration for all men who don't meet the standards I've decided.
I think that's very reasonable.
As the Spice Girls would say, if you want to be my lover, you got to get with my friends. And that
Friendship
doesn't mean I want you to have sex with my friends.
No.
It means I want you to take care of and be responsible for and connect to my friends.
Zig zig ah. I was recently in the St. Pancras Hotel in London, England, where the wannabe video was shot. And I thought to myself, I have such a strong picture of it in my mind. I can find this stairwell. And I couldn't. And I had to ask a very well-dressed maitre d', excuse me, where are the Spice Girls stairs?
Pardon me, Mom. Could you point me in the direction of the Spice Girls stairs?
Laura, if people would like to find you on the internet and find out what's going on with you, where can they do that?
They can find me at lauraryan.org if they want to work with me professionally. If they're interested in this podcast and want to see a bunch of incredible AI videos that I've made, they should follow me on TikTok at I am Laura Ryan. If they're interested in the show, they can go to our Instagram page, My Sister's a Therapist Instagram, or they can get on the interwebs and go to mysister'satherapist.com for all the episodes of the show. Virginia, if somebody wants to see your feminazi content live, how would they go about doing that?
You can find my content on my website, which is www.badinia.com, Badinia. That's also the name of my TikTok, Badinia, and my Instagram, Badinia. If you would like to hire us for a number of public appearances, we will host your corporate holiday party and we will give people free therapeutic advice that they can follow or not. We will hawk the following products: bitchin' sauce or G sauce, liquid death. I like those little Biscoff cookies, the little cinnamon cookies. I'll hawk those. Imperfect Foods, Costco. You can write us at hire us at mysister'satherapist.com. If you have a show topic idea, a note, a complaint, what would that even be? Or a compliment, you can write us at hello at mysister'satherapist.com. Laura, speaking of compliments, now is the time of the show where you sometimes read a nice review or an email someone has sent us. Do you have something to share this week?
I certainly do. P.S. If you want to write a complaint, I would suggest strongly that you write it down on a piece of paper and then ball it up and throw it right in the trash can. I actually have an email from a listener. This is from listener SM. The Heroes episode was a balm for my soul. I like the theories about why Morrissey is the way he is. But also, I wonder whether having the internet where he can directly release his thoughts to us without them first being edited by a publicist or manager is what happened. And maybe he was always like this. Like on The Office, where Creed wants a blog and Ryan just gives him a Word document called Creed Thoughts. Protect the world from him. Thanks, SM. I agree. Morrissey should have a Word document called Morrissey's Thoughts, and he should write them all down. Actually, he should do what any listener who has a negative review should do. Write it all down, ball it up, and put it right in the trash.
I like to think that Morrissey's Word document would be called Mozzer Thoughts.
I was going to say Mozzie Thoughts. Thank you for listening and thank you for writing.
If you would like to have your moment in the sun, hearing the golden honeyed glow of Laura's voice tripping over your words, you can leave us a review on Apple, Spotify, or Audible. We will read it right on the air. As we leave this episode, we would like to leave you with the warm, comforting words of our spiritual founder, Billy Ray Valentine Capricorn, when he said, "We can make it, baby."
Me and you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.